My name is Alexis Oakley, and today I'll be discussing 5 articles out of 10 that I did research on about early childhood education and child development. The first article I'll be presenting is Hey Parents, Leave Those Kids Alone, which does have a good title. But, anyways, it is about adventure playgrounds that used to exist in the UK and in America. But all of a sudden, about the 70s or so, they shut down within a decade because of so many laws and rules and regulations. So, there have been a few in the UK, however, that have started to emerge in recent years. The good things about adventure playgrounds is that they allow kids to really thrive socially, as they're allowed to interact with their peers, and they gain independence as there's so many things that they do for themselves, and they have a lot of bit of autonomy actually, and they are able to really rule themselves in this environment. And they also is a great thing. They learn problem solving skills and how to negotiate risks. So, I mean, this helps them in obviously every aspect of life, and it does it in such a natural and fun way that they learn without even knowing it. Some of the characteristics of these adventure playgrounds are things such as piles full of tires and pallets that people drop off, and just a lot of movable parts. All movable parts. The topography changes every day. Well, constantly actually, as children play on it. And a lot of them have cans of fires that children are able to start fires. And I mean, there's no lighters, of course, but they learn how to start a fire for themselves and how to work together as a team to help build this fire. And it is, of course, supervised. There are very well trained people on staff. Any of the scenarios the children could possibly face have been thought of, and the risk have been outweighed to know what to let and what not to let the children do. But in general, they have pretty much complete autonomy. Usually there's only about one parent on site or so, but they say that's not really ever a thing, according to the authors. They did observations at many different parks in the UK, and after they died out in the 70s, there's not many left from that. So they have observed the new ones that are starting to emerge. There's only about 5 to 10 or so in the UK. So with the emergence of these new adventure playgrounds in the UK, they'll start to emerge in the US and hopefully globally, so that all children can get a chance to just experience this intriguing and different way of learning and exploring. The second article I'm going to be discussing is Creating the Nutritionally Purposeful Classroom. And the main purpose of this article is to show educators that having a nutritionally purposeful classroom in early childhood education is absolutely essential to creating lifelong healthy eaters. This article is so relevant to everybody's life because children of all ages and fitness levels and eating styles and normal habits can benefit from having this in the classroom and in the curriculum. Give children multiple opportunities to try new foods is so important because children change all the time, and oftentimes they might not remember what they tried before. Or if you give them positive motivation and model good eating habits, they may be more inclined to try those healthy foods. So, like I just mentioned, modeling, absolutely important. You have to model good eating habits. Don't carry a monster into the classroom or carry, McDonald's in every day. Eat some broccoli or a salad. Have lessons in the curriculum that cover healthy eating habits and have that be able to be sent home. Maybe have a little mini lesson on how to read a recipe and how to prepare a certain healthy food. And then they can give them those foods to carry home with them so that they can show their parents how to do this. Because sending it home and giving them that passion to share on will really help inspire them and give them the passion even more. A garden is a great way to incorporate food and vegetables and fruits into the classroom. Having a garden, it can help them with math, science, obviously biology and whatnot, and it helps them learn on a very hands-on way that they get excited about and really interested in. And it also shows them from day one to the end of it going in their stomach how their food is made and why they consume it, and it helps them develop a positive relationship with food. Having a nutritionally purposeful classroom that promotes healthy eating habits may offer many children a perspective they have never seen. Maybe their home lives don't allow for it. Most importantly, though, It provides students with many opportunities and skills that last a lifetime. The third article I'm going to be discussing today is Too Scared to Learn. It covers a topic that concerns a group of children that are ignored and all too often just misunderstood in their classrooms and at home. So it's important for teachers to recognize these children and really try to understand and help them in any way. The most important thing that this article mentioned is that every child is an individual, which is so true to remember, and that every child has a unique background and history and perspective. Also, children who face traumatic situations are usually constantly looking for protection or coping mechanisms of some kind. Like, even though the lessons are going on, subconsciously or consciously, their mind is not on that, or they're just trying to protect themselves or feel safe on the inside. Children experience various types of trauma, such as abuse, rape, neglect, fire, car wreck, or even a natural disaster, such as it's really common around here in Arkansas, tornadoes. Also, one of the saddest things that these children face is helplessness. Helplessness is something that there's just, it's hard because one can't go very far with that. It lowers your trajectories and life chances, and it just makes one feel not worthy, which is no human being should feel like. So the main goal of teachers also change this. We have to inspire children, make them feel like they're worthy, make them feel like there is hope and that they can be whatever and whoever they want to be as long as they try their hardest. And really just make them feel like they can do what they want to do and they are somebody.
I don't like
Many
that
of
part.
these children in the classroom display these emotions with shyness, hyperactivity, outburst, or running out of the classroom. These are all due to heightened emotional responses because of just all of the trauma that they have experienced. Although physiologically these responses are meant for their protection, they can severely hinder the learning process. So don't punish them. They are just trying to be secure and to feel safe. Work with them. Try to gain an understanding of why they have these feelings or why they're acting in these ways, and try to help them gain a new perspective while helping them learn skills to cope better. Many of these children who suffer from traumatic experiences or lifestyles in their early childhood subsequently also suffer from developmental delays, fall behind with their peers academically and socially. The fourth article I will be discussing had an interview set up with adult participants who were hearing children and otherwise all deaf family. These children are called CODAs. Stands for Children of Deaf Adults, and many of these CODAs do not recognize that they are hearing until they start school. That was a fact I found really interesting, and one of the main facts that the text also pointed out. Speech delays also get mistaken for learning disabilities, which is a really sad thing that can happen. So it's important to identify the background and know the background of your children and the individuals in your class so that you can properly diagnose them or properly help them and assist them and not just make assumptions. The last major factor that the article addresses is children being obligated to interpret. And through reading all the interviews, this seemed to be the one that really bothered the children the most. It put a lot of pressure on them and a lot of responsibility because they're already the only hearing child. They have to worry about fires, burglaries, and everything in their home. And putting that other form of communication with all of their adult peers on it is just, it's a lot of pressure on the children, and they kind of resent that. But overall, this article was significant for its uniqueness. I've never really read an article like it. It brings awareness to the CODA culture, which is kind of just under the radar and not really seen or recognized. So it did really well at helping the reader and hopefully educators be able to recognize and understand this culture and help out their students who may identify with it. The last article I will be discussing explores gay and lesbian families in the early childhood classroom. Family is a pretty key concept in all early childhood programs, and it is important to include non-traditional families into the education curriculum. As this article does talk about including gay and lesbian families, it also talks about, maybe incarcerated families or adopted families or whatever the different kind of families you may have in your classroom. And The text included a great way to incorporate gay and lesbian parents into the curriculum. It suggested to read books and have story time or read alouds that include gay or lesbian or any kind of non-traditional families. And also, it provided a book list, something I really liked about the article. It provided a book list for you to go on and find books like that you could read to your classroom at various age ranges. The most important way to support gay and lesbian families or any kind of non-traditional families in the classroom is by just creating a tolerant atmosphere and by really celebrating by celebrating each individual's differences and getting to know their families and the backgrounds and celebrating their differences as well.